Hey folks, so I was planning on doing activation today, but the weather hasn't cooperated. So I figured what I would do instead is I'd go through the kit that I was going to use today, and we'll talk about what I have in this Elecraft bag. You guys have seen a lot of what's in this bag, but I kind of want to talk about what I put together, why I have the things that I have in here. So let's go through the bag here and take a look at what I've got. And so I'm big on putting together kits, right? You've seen my video probably on my lightweight QRP field kit. This is a more inclusive kit. So this kit will do more. It'll run more modes. I've got a lot more options with this particular setup. So let's go through this Elecraft bag and talk about what's in it. Talk about why I put the things in here that I put in here. And we'll go from there. So, this particular KX2 is old. I've only had it for a little while, but this is serial number 300 and something. So this is from this is from the original batch of when Elecraft made the KX2. So the bag they come with now is a little bit different, but the idea is basically the same. You'd be surprised at what you can fit in this little Elecraft bag. I forget what this weighs. It's like 3 pounds maybe. It's not super light. It's not as light as that little SW3B kit I built. But like I said, this is a lot more full-featured when it comes to a radio kit. So this is, unless I'm trying to go super light, like if I'm climbing way up a mountain or hiking way into the woods, if I'm not doing something like that, I'm going to bring this. If I'm going way out in the woods, way out or something like that, I'm going to bring a smaller kit. So the KX2, you're probably all familiar with this radio. This is sort of ubiquitous when it comes to field radios. Everybody runs these things with good reason. So I've talked about this radio here on my channel in the past, but let me just talk briefly about the things I like and dislike about this radio. So this radio does have some shortcomings, which I've talked about in previous videos. The case is not the highest quality case. It's okay, but it's not great. It's got plastic knobs, things like that. But I don't think that there is a more versatile, full-featured field radio in existence. One could argue that the 705 might be, but for me, the 705 just doesn't fit the bill as far as how I use a radio. So for how I use a radio, this is the best solution, I think, even with its shortcomings. Now, it's not always the best solution. It's late August here in upstate New York right now, and unfortunately, sooner rather than later, the snow is going to start rolling. When it does, this radio will go back in its home and the TX500 will come back out. Because this radio, for all of its benefits, if I drop this thing in the snow, bad things could happen. The TX500, it's not going to hurt it. But for here in the summer, when the weather's decent, I don't want to run this thing in the rain, but as long as the weather's decent, this is the radio I'm taking most of the time. It just does so many things so well. We can run single sideband. I don't have the speaker mic in the bag here, but this does have a microphone in it, and you can use the transmit button here to transmit single sideband. So if I wanted to run single sideband, I can run that with this. Obviously, it does CW. That's primarily how I operate. This will run digital. I do have a digi-rig I can hook up to this, although I don't run digital with this radio. This radio is a little wonky when it comes to digital. I have way better solutions for digital. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't run digital very often in the field. But it does have that capability. Now, the beautiful thing about the KX2 is it's got the built-in battery, the built-in antenna tuner, which will tune anything. It's got a fantastic receiver. The filtering on this thing is great. So, like I said, as far as field transceivers are concerned, it is very hard to beat the KX2. It is an all-in-one, well-made, very versatile transceiver. So I've also got a little talent cell in here. This is, I think, a 3,000 milliamp hour talent cell. This one does not have a USB. This one's 12 volts only. This will run the radio for a very long time. So if the battery in the radio dies, I can run it off of this. And this will power the radio longer than the internal battery will, I think. So we've got our internal battery and we've got an external talent cell as well. I have my throw line. So this is 65 feet of high-vis reflective cord and an 8-ounce Weaver throw weight. I don't always carry a throw weight with me because that's half a pound right there, right? But it is nice to just be able to grab this and throw it up in the tree. Sometimes I'll run a little bag you fill with rocks, but this is a lot simpler. So I've got throw line in there. In this little Benchmade bag here is my key, or my primary key, I guess I should say. So in this bag is the Bamatech Bama Key TP3. You've seen this key a lot on the channel recently. Now that I've got this adjusted up how I like it, I really like this key a lot. I'm still not a fan of how short these paddles are. But aside from that, everything else about this key, I decided now that I'm a pretty big fan of it. The build quality is very good. It's very rugged. It feels, now that I've got it adjusted up well, it feels really nice to send on. It's small, it's lightweight. Like I said, the only thing I'm not sold on is the height of these paddles. Aside from that, now that I've got this adjusted up and I've gotten used to it, I'm really enjoying this key. So that's my primary key. This is a random wire antenna. So that KX2 has a very good antenna tuner in it. So I've got a BNC binding post that I can hook directly to the radio. And then I have a 41-foot random wire and a 17-foot counterpoise. So here's my first of my 2 antennas that I have in the bag. You'll see I have redundancies on a lot of things. I've got 2 batteries, one on the radio and one external. You're going to see I have 2 antennas as well. So I've got my random wire. And we've also got our AX2. So we've got our 90-degree BNC. We've got our bipod. We've got our antenna whip. And we've got our 40-meter coil as well. So we can run 20 and 40 meters with this, and I can run pretty much 40 to 10 on the random wire. The only thing I've got in the bottom of the kit here now is my 3.5 millimeter cable for my key. So this is just on a retractor, right? So you can pull it out, hook your key up to your radio. When you're done, retract it back. It's nice and light and compact. So we'll open the back of this up and we'll take a look at what's back here. So we have our Right in the Rain pad to log on. This is sort of a medium-sized pad. I've got some smaller ones in some of my smaller kits, but you can see we've been using this one. I like the Right in the Rain pads in case it does start to sprinkle, it doesn't destroy my log. So we've got our logging pad along with our mechanical pencil. Okay, so here's our ability to log. I also have a set of headphones in here. So if I'm not shooting a video and you guys don't need to be able to hear the radio, I will generally run headphones. It's easier to pull out weak signals, I find, with headphones on. So I do have headphones in here for that as well. And then in the very back of this bag, so the first thing I've got here is my backup key. So this is a capacitive key. So this is a UC6 UAA capacitive key. And this key attaches directly to the radio. So there's the port. You take those 2 Allen screws out. This guy goes right in. You screw it on, and you're ready to roll. I wouldn't want to use this every day, but this is a good backup key. It also doesn't have any moving parts, so this won't freeze up when it gets real cold out. You get snow packed into your primary key, and it's not going to work so well. So we do have our backup key as well. I do have 2 power cables in this bag. So I have one with a barrel jack on one end for the radio, and the other end is power poles. And I also have one that's got a barrel jack on both ends. So this will plug into the radio. The other end plugs into the talent cell. They both run the same size jack. So this is the cable I would use with this talent cell. And then the last thing I've got in the bag here are my counterpoises. Right, so we have a 13-foot counterpoise for 20 meters and a 33-foot counterpoise for 40 meters. So you can see that all of that stuff fits nicely in this little Elecraft bag. You can fit a lot in this pack. And like I said, when I put these kits together, I try to make them all-inclusive. I try to make sure that I don't need anything else. I can just grab that bag and go do an activation. Kind of like that lightweight QRP kit that I shot a video on a few weeks back, right? I can just pick that bag up, throw it in my backpack, go do an activation. I don't need anything else. This kit's the same way. The only thing that's not in this kit is the manual, because the manual for a KX2 is a book, right? I'm not going to carry that around. But you can see I've got everything we need here. We've got our transceiver, our throw line. I've got 2 different CW keys. I've got 2 different antennas. I've got 2 different batteries. We've got our headphones, our power cables for the external batteries, our logging solution, our counterpoises. Everything fits inside that little Elecraft bag. So you'll see that I've got a lot of kits. I like to have all-inclusive kits. I've got a kit for my TX500. I've got a kit for my FX4CR. I've got a kit for my G90. I have a mountain topper coming that I'll put a kit together for. I like to just be able to grab a kit and go. I don't want to have to think, oh man, what do I need to put in this bag? Do I need, what antenna do I want to take? Do I need coax? Do I need that? I just want to grab a bag and go do an activation, or grab a bag and go out in the woods and do whatever. I don't want to have to think about, man, did I remember everything? So hopefully this gave you a little food for thought. Hopefully you can see that we've got a lot of stuff in that little pack. Now, if you think I'm missing something, tell me in the comments. You know, are there things that you would include in this kit? Are there things that you would take out? Maybe you don't want to carry 2 batteries and 2 antennas and 2 keys. I've been bitten enough times to know that I need to carry backups. But if I don't want to carry this weight, you know, maybe that's an option as well. So if there are things that you think I'm missing, let me know. If there are things that you would take out of this kit, let me know. So like I said, this was just sort of a food for thought kind of video, just to be a little bit informative as some of the things that you might include in a field activation kit. So with that being said, I really appreciate everybody watching this video. And I'll put some videos out on some of my other kits in the future. With that being said, I appreciate you watching, and 7-3.